through 5. Students have approached me and have asked me advice about how to take notes, most particularly in the academic lectures, tasks 4 and 6. So the first thing that I want to address about note taking is just to remind you that your notes are for your purpose only. And what I mean by that is they only have to be understandable to you. So they can be messy handwriting. They can use shorted, abbreviated words that perhaps only you can understand. You're not going to be rated or scored by your notes by any means. The notes are simply thrown away after the exam. So you do what works best for you. And some other just general advice about notes is that, of course, when we take notes, we cannot write down every word of the lecture. We have to focus on the main idea, the key meaning important, content words. And you're only going to write down words, not complete sentences. I also encourage students to devise or make up your own system of abbreviations. So for example, if you take the word problem and you write PRB, for you that might be your system that word stands for problem. Okay? Maybe you could use a single letter to identify a high frequency word, like a word that's repeated throughout the lecture. If the theme or the topic of the lecture is about Egypt, perhaps a capital E will represent Egypt. You can also make symbols. In lecture 3, when we have to focus on whether it's the man or the woman who agrees or disagrees, I always begin with an M and a happy face if it's the woman who agrees. Or for example, I write M for man and a sad face if it's the man who disagrees. So your notes, your system. Another thing I want to mention is that you should listen to cues. There are cues or certain words that are used in a lecture that are going to indicate that the professor is about to give an example. And when you hear those cues, that's when you need to be ready to write down an example. So sometimes professors will use words like first, then, another, the last, or finally. These are all key words. So the professor could also say words like, for example, let me give you an example, like, such as, including. So when you hear these phrases, you might write EX to show that it's an example, and then you would include those details. And maybe you would list them under this category of whatever theme the professor has addressed. So those are some of the basic advice I have in terms of note taking. But the main message for you to remember is that your notes are for you, so you should devise whatever system works best for you, and that you shouldn't be worried about anyone judging or scoring you on your notes. Just work with the system that you're most comfortable with. My notes are a disaster, but I can look back and use them. Now, the last thing I want to mention is, what do we do with these notes? Now, I always tell my students that they need to be good storytellers. So we don't want to look back at our notes and repeat word for word what we heard in the lectures or conversations. You just want to use the notes to guide your story and then to tell the story in your own way. Ideally, bringing in your own words, your own verbs, your own vocabulary. Not repeating exactly what you've heard, but paraphrasing in your own language. So that's a lot to think about and a lot to practice. If you think you want some professional help making those improvements and helping you, achieve your goal for TOEFL, I encourage you to check out our services at TOEFLspeakingteacher.com. My name is Jamie. I would love the opportunity to work with you and to help you reach your TOEFL goals. So I want to wish you a lovely day and thanks for joining. Bye.